Hello YouTube coin collectors and stackers. Today we're going to try to answer the question, should you sell coins on WhatNot? I've been selling on eBay for a while. I recently got started on WhatNot, completed my third stream this week, and I want to talk about the results, what I've learned, and the pros and the cons of selling on this very interesting platform. And fair warning, there will be math. I promise I'll keep it simple, but we're going to be talking about things like net margin and return on capital and customer acquisition costs, things like this. It's all arithmetic. You guys can handle it, but math does scare some people. Don't be scared. Fair warning, spoiler alert, there will be math. So what is WhatNot? Well, the way I explain it to people who don't know, and if you're watching this, you probably already know, but I describe it as it's an influencer meets an auctioneer. So you're putting on a show. Maybe you're playing music and you're interacting with people, you're answering their questions, you're talking about whatever the topic is. So I'm always talking about the coins, I'm talking about the coins I'm auctioning. At the same time, you're trying to create excitement and momentum and getting people to bid on your things, right? And a good auctioneer is able to run up the bids, right? They're able to, do their thing. I'm not an auctioneer, so I can't talk like them, but that's what they do. So more simply, it's TikTok meets eBay. So you're influenced, you're putting on a show, you're entertaining people, you're interacting with them while you're trying to sell them things in an auction scenario. So let's talk about the pros of WhatNot. Number one, the first thing I learned, you can sell a lot of stuff really fast. Like, no joke. If you sat on there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you would just be selling stuff the whole time. And it can be a lot of fun and adrenaline filled, especially if you're like me, you're doing it yourself. So you're interacting with people, you're trying to keep your lot straight, you're watching people kind of come and go, and I got a lot of music playing, so I was playing Green Day, and I'm getting excited, and I'm drinking my green tea to keep my energy level up, and it is fast-paced and fun. Setup is really easy and fast. I was set up as a seller super fast, was able to do everything. You do have to upload your ID and do some things like that, but it's super easy to do. It took like under an hour to do everything, and that was with the approvals. The buyers so far seem to be super solid. I'm not worried, I haven't run into any bad apples yet. I know I will. They're on eBay too. They're everywhere. You're going to run into them. That's just life. But so far, so good. I'm very impressed with just the people in general on WhatNot, the interactions I'm having, and so forth. You have the potential to build a really, really nice community of engaged customers. This is different from eBay. eBay, you might get followers. eBay, you're going to get repeat customers. I've certainly built a nice repeat clientele that keep coming back to me to buy coins and things because I've earned their trust. I ship things out quickly. If there's ever any issues, I refund their money, right? And even if it's the post office's issue, which it is most of the time. But this is a bit different. These people aren't just there to buy things. They're there to buy things for the best possible deal they can get, unless you're a good auctioneer and you can run it up. And they want to be entertained as well. They're there watching a show. And so it's a bit different than sort of just kind of cruising through listings on eBay. And there's some nice new seller incentives that we're going to talk about. So when there's pros, there's always cons. So what are some of the cons? You can sell a lot of stuff really fast. This is a double-edged sword because if you're not prepared, you can lose money on every single item really, really fast. And, typically you're going to see, I'm going to show you how the incentives or the fees and stuff are very, very bottom end loaded, meaning that, the lower you sell things for, the heftier a price you're going to pay to do that. That's very different than eBay. And the higher you go on the prices, things seem to even out like over $20. So, but if you're not careful, you can lose money on every single item. And the buyers are very price sensitive. Again, unless you're a skilled auctioneer and you can bid things up, and I've seen people and whatnot, they're really good at it. But a lot of them are very price sensitive, and if you're running a boring show, you're not running anyone up. You're going to be selling things for the bare minimum because everyone there is looking for a deal. And all of this can add up very fast. Meanwhile, on top of this, how do you get people to come to click on your channel and sit there and watch you do things? This can be very hard, particularly for a new channel, because there's a lot of competition. There's a ton of coin shows running all the time. And there are people that have been doing it for a while, and they know what they're doing, and they got a lot of people following their channel. Shippo. It's cute. It's a little hippo, a shipping hippo thing. That's what they have baked in. Compared to eBay shipping, it's really clunky. I'm not going to get into all the details, but One thing that's really annoying is every single shipping label wants to print out on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, right? Try sticking that on an envelope. So take some doing to kind of dial things there where you want it. The other thing too is the tracking is weird, and you got to click, and it's very clunky to get around. The reporting is mediocre. Again, there's lots of clicks looking for things. There's no summary reporting. There's no anything like this. At least not for me yet. Maybe that comes over time. And the app can be very glitchy. I've had very glitchy things happen with the app during streams where it won't run auctions. If you go and do a giveaway, it doesn't take you back to the main screen. You got to exit out. I've had the thing freeze on me. And my phone's not an old phone, but I've had people comment, yeah, the app's really glitchy in the stream as I'm live streaming. So just to be aware of these things. And you're trying to run this whole thing on your phone, by the way, which is also tricky. So you got to have the right setup to do all of that. Right lighting, right setup. So here's my latest show. I sold $216 gross, 35 orders in just over an hour. I had 72 sustained watches, which I believe is like 30 seconds or more. People sat around, and I had their attention for that long. I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's what it was. 45 new followers. I had 58 bids. A lot of people, just one person was bidding. I didn't have enough people in it. Maybe I had 7 to 10 people at a time on the channel. It would peak up to 20 and then come down really fast. So hard to get bidding wars going when you don't have a lot of people watching the stream. 4 first-time buyers. And then the 216 promo sales means that all the sales I got were the result of me promoting the stream, which cost me $61.89. And that's important. This is over 3 shows. So from the 3, I've sold over $600 worth of stuff in 3 streams, but 418 of it came from me spending $145 promoting it. Now, that's a 286% return on ad spend, which looks okay at first until you realize like 145 is a big percentage of 418. That is like over 30%. So you're talking like you're spending a lot of your top line. This is not profit. This is top line going to ad spending. And I got 46 bids from that. So these are their stats. They send this to you after your stream. Okay, I warned you. Now here it comes. But before we get into the math, let's talk about this $150 new seller bonus, because that made the math on my first 2 streams work out for me. Otherwise, I would have lost money on both of them. So what do you got to do to get this? Stream for 2 hours or more, sell to at least 5 unique buyers, and you must do all this in the first 7 days. So I spent the first couple of days, and I made my couple like 4 days, kind of messing around, figuring it out, poking around, watching other people do it, this, that, and the other. Day 4 came along, and I'm like, oh my God, I got to list some stuff. So I started trying to figure all that out. Day 5, I run the stream. My pacing is off. Everything is weird. And I get through everything in 44 minutes. When I sit down and try to figure it all out, I go, oh my God, I have 24 hours left, and I got to stream for 76 minutes. So I immediately buckled down, and I found, I figured, okay, well, I sold 22 items in my first stream. That's 2 minutes an item. So if I'm going to get to 76, right, let's just be safe, and let's do 40 items. I actually didn't do 45 items to get me to 90 minutes at 2 minutes an item, right? And then I ended up getting through it, but that was very stressful waiting till the last minute. I also did giveaways and other things that got me a lot of followers, and we'll get to importance of giveaways. So, I'm jumping ahead. All right, sorry about that. Let's go over here and let's look at the modeling. So, I've run businesses. I've run and sold businesses. I do this as somebody who enjoys coin collecting as a hobby and is starting to make some money on it on the side as a side hustle, right? So I track everything very closely as someone who's run, scaled, and sold businesses. So you can see, like, I modeled my last stream, April 8th, and this was a mint set blowout. I have so many mint sets. I got boxes of them coming out of my ears. I bought several collections with these mint sets. I just want to get them out of here. I was happy to break even if I could just get them out and get my cash out of them. So I modeled, here's the product. I have everything by lot, right? So everything's numbered by lot. These are the lot numbers. These are the products. You can see the different mint sets. What they cost me, what I want to start the bidding at, the WhatNot fees, 4% commission plus 2.99% for the credit card plus 30 cents per transaction. The giveaways, I modeled $14 for giveaways, and you have to pay to ship it, and you have to ship it USPS Ground Advantage. So every time you give away something, it's going to cost you $4 to $4.50 to ship it. And then my promotion, $67 to promote it over an hour. I was hoping to get 80 followers, 27 per giveaway, 3 giveaways. Although really I ended up doing 2 giveaways and then a buyer giveaway. Excuse me. And then my cost per follower is $1.01. So you can see on some of these items here, I'm losing money right out of the gate. I'm losing 65 cents on all of these until I finally make some money on this set because it's got the W dime in it. It's a special set. It's got that limited W dime. Losing money, start making money down here if I'm hitting these. And at the end of the day, let's just go right to the punchline. I made $48. This is the model. 53 lots, cost of $196. Hopefully starting price of $371. There's the fees. There's the giveaways. There's the promotion. There's my net. That results in a deposit because I get my cost back, right? My cost basis comes out of it. And a net margin of 13%. That's the model. Let's see what actually happened. So what actually happened was, in green is what I sold. In orange is what they didn't buy. So all of the orange is zeroed out. And we'll just get down to the net here. I sold 35 lots out of the 53. That cost me $86.55. I was sold that for $216. So at first you're like, wow, that's a nice profit. It's almost 3x my money. But then I had to take out the WhatNot fees, the credit card fees, and the giveaways. Still, that's not adding up to a lot. And then the promotion. So at the end of the day, I made $27 for an hour's worth of work. So you start looking at that and go, wow, that's not that great. And I'm getting 114 for a gross margin of, net margin of just under 13 points. And if we go back over here, I modeled in a net margin of around 13 points. So that part of it did come true. And I did make money. I didn't lose money. And again, my goal was just to get rid of proof sets, and I did. Now let's see what happened up here. So my giveaways cost me $15. The promotion cost me less than I thought. I gained way fewer followers, and we'll come over here to what I modeled. So I was hoping to get 80 followers. I got 45. And I ended up getting way fewer followers per giveaway. And it cost me a lot more, 70% more than I modeled to acquire these. Now let's look at this over the course of 3 shows. And we'll try to blow this up here a little bit so you guys can see it a little better. It's not cooperating, so bear with me. So what we have is we have the 3 lots. So we have April 1st, April 2nd, and April 8th. Here's what everything cost me, $443 for the actual product. I had to pay $33.50 for shipping for the giveaways because on WhatNot the buyers pay for the shipping. eBay you can include free shipping. I think you can on WhatNot. I'm still figuring that out. I sold this stuff for $816, so that almost looks like a double. But I had to pay my WhatNot fees. I had to pay to promote the listings. I had my net profit of $158 across all 3 shows, which at the end of the day took me at least an hour per show on average. So that's 3 hours of my time. At least, probably another 2 hours to pick, pack, go to the post office. And now we're at 5 hours, and it took me probably another 2 hours to 3 hours to prep for the shows. So when you divide that by 8, it's like $20 an hour, and that number is going to keep coming up. My EBITDA, which is was just called my net margin per show, 26 points was the best one. That was on April Fool's Day, 17 and 13. We'll get back to why these are so high and how much money I'll get deposited in my account, 602. And my ROI is really what I call return on capital. So this is the money I earned above and beyond what the stuff cost me. That's different than net margin. Now what you'll see over here is I have the number $75, 75 plus 25. This was the new bonus, that new seller bonus of $150. I spread it out over both the first 2 streams. And then they gave me a $25 promotion credit for my second stream. So keep these numbers in mind. So my net margin across all 3 streams, including these bonuses and this discount, is just under 20%. And my return on capital just about 36%. Look what happens when those new seller incentives go away. I go from that to losing $16 across the 3 shows with a negative margin, a much smaller deposit. I basically don't even get my cost back out of it. Plus I've lost 8 hours of my time. And the ROI is now negative 3.63 because what happened? I took the $75 off of this. The $75 came out of this. And then I added $25 onto the promo. So that's what happened. That's where it all went. So let's go back to here and go to my final sort of closing slide, right? So what do we like about WhatNot? You can sell a lot of stuff really, really, really fast. So for me as a coin dealer, it's a great place for me just to dump stuff that I'm going to have a hard time selling on eBay or elsewhere. Even if I break even on it and I can just get my money out of it. My time being another thing, very valuable, but it's really good for that. But you got to have a plan. I knew I was going to lose money on the first 2 streams. I actually budgeted to lose $50, knowing that if I hit that $150 incentive, it would have, evened it all out. So that was my plan. Why did I model everything ahead of time? I wanted to see what I could make, and so those are the things you got to do. I think you got to have a plan going in. Otherwise, you can just hemorrhage cash on this thing. You got to plan for giveaways. If you don't have giveaways, you're not going to get followers. And over time, you got to get those followers so that you can reduce the amount of money you're spending on promotions, which is going to consume 75% of your profits at first. Think about that. And that's if you have a plan. 75% of your profits are out the window with the promotions if you're promoting it based on their recommended promotions. But you got to be willing to take some risks. You got to do some buck and goes, right? Start at $1 and see what happens. Consider those like marketing write-offs and ways to get followers at first. And you're going to have to spend some money. You're going to have to go out and find giveaways. You're going to have to spend the money to send them the giveaways once they get them. And you're going to have to spend money to promote it. If you want to build a community of engaged customers who are looking for deals, these people are price sensitive. So you have to channel your inner auctioneer to get people excited. But the main thing you got to do, at least as a newbie here that I'm figuring out, is I got to build a really big following, probably of thousands of people, before I can start to lessen my reliance on promoting the channel, promoting the streams, and clawing back more of that profit for myself, as well as being able to drive up the bidding because I have more people on a stream, right, competing with each other for something that they like. The other thing I'm figuring out, and I'll maybe do a follow-up video on, is also figuring out like what do these people want to buy, because I learned pretty quickly that there are some mint sets and proof sets that people want right away, and there's other ones I couldn't give away. I had things on one of my second stream where it was like buck and go and nobody bid on it for $1, and it was like a $5 coin. They didn't want it. So that's it. I'm gonna wrap it up right there. So what do you think about selling on WhatNot? I'm a newbie. This is my experience after 3 streams, but experience as an experienced business person who tracks things, as you can see, and models things out, as I'm trying to figure out where does this fit in my business, in my coin business, where does this fit in my overall strategy for what it is I'm trying to do. And I'm dialing some stuff in, but it's early days. Thank you so much, guys. Please like and subscribe. I appreciate you. Thanks for watching, listening, and I will see you soon.